Welcome back, everyone, to another SlabStox podcast. My name is Aaron, your host, and this is This Week in Sports Cards Volume 6. We are moving right along with the 6th edition here, but before we get into that, I wanted to make a comment on the video I put out on Thursday. It was about the NBA parallels and sports cards brands to target, and one of my buddies in the comments pointed out that I forgot to bring up optic black velocities and pink velocities. The black are of 39 and the pink are of 79. Both are very well worth an investment. Just forgot them out of the video. I actually can't believe it. It's one of my favorite parallels out of any product. So that was a little disappointing to myself to see that I forgot to include it. But hopefully you guys are watching this video to where you know now that those should be on your list as well. So for what happened this week in the sports card market, we'll start here with Monday. The market report is on the Luka Doncic 2018 Prism Silver Rookie PSA 10. This is obviously one of the biggest investment cards over the past year or two. Crazy gains because as of last summer, this card was around like $450, $500. And now as we see today, it's over $2,500. But this graph is very interesting. This covers the trend since the start of 2020. Back at the beginning of 2020, this was worth around $1,250 to $1,300. And as we see, it spiked hard leading right up to when the NBA got suspended. March 10th hit, and this thing went down very fast. It went below $1,500 again. And now, since that time, it's went up over $1,000 total in value, bringing it to over $2,500, which is a double your money case in 2020 so far if you bought to start the year, which is crazy. Clearly, the sports card market demand is helping with this, especially since the NBA season gets suspended. Since there has been no basketball played, it's just more people wanting to buy, wanting to pay higher prices because they think there's more future value later, which definitely could be true with this Luka Doncic 2018 Prism Silver PSA 10. Before getting into my thoughts on this, today's value on this card is around $2,500 to $2,600, so it's around the same thing. But for a comment here from Sarfa Sports Cards, he says, do you think this is paying for a potential run this year in the playoffs? If they are a second round out, do these prices come back down, or is the increase in demand and long-term potential making this a new baseline? I am holding out with the idea that these prices seem to be with a heavy expectation of success this year. What do you think? So for my thoughts on this card, I'm actually just going to answer this question, both sides of it. So first, yes, I think that some of this value has to do with the demand in the sports card market, more people wanting to get in and get this staple card of Luka. The Prism Silver PSA 10 is widely known as a huge investment card, so many people want it. And then to the same point, yes, there is expectation that this season Luka was a top 5 player. The Mavs are in playoff position. They are now invited to Orlando to finish out the NBA season. If you didn't see, the NBA is coming back July 31st. They will start 8-game regular season into the playoffs. That's going to end around mid-October. But that there is some value baked into it here that people are expecting Luka to be dominant this season because they are paying very high prices. But at the same time, a lot of these people buying these, I think, are trying to lock these things up for the long term. There is close to 3,000 total graded PSA 10s of Luka Prisms, silvers, not just PSA 10, but all of them graded. So there is a kind of high supply, but at the same time, as demand shifts and such, is 3,000 really that high? If demand is 10,000 for the card, no. There's more demand than supply, so the prices will stay high. And is this a new baseline for this card, $2,500 moving forward? I think that we will see, as we've seen in the past, waves with these cards. I think over time we're going to see the market just keep on growing, of course. As we're reporting, you guys are seeing how much demand is coming in. I think we'll have definitely more of that to come as more people start to learn about it, learn how to invest, and also build up their collections. That's a huge thing, is that current investors now with new people coming in are able to build it up and spend money elsewhere. So it's just growing the market super fast as new money comes in. But I think we will see rises and falls, in the small percentile area here, to where I don't think this card's just going to keep on going up 2,750, 3,000, 3,500. It definitely will have to do with his performance in the playoffs. But let's say that he does huge in the playoffs this year and it sets him up for a top 3 MVP, potential for next year again. Then yeah, sure, this card will just keep on going up. Luka Doncic is one of the best investments out there in terms of basketball cards. Safest, not necessarily, as you can go spend money on LeBron or MJ. Some of MJ's cards you can still buy. And then as for Giannis, he's another very safe option as well. But Luka is one of those more, it's a little bit of a gamble because it's a second season and he does have some injury issues. But, a lot of players do these days. But in terms of where safe money is to grow rather rapidly, I'd say Luka is one of the best options there. Moving on to Wednesday, we did not have a market report on Tuesday, so we skipped to Wednesday. We have the Mike Trout by Ermsey for the Project 2020, Topps Project 2020. The last couple weeks, you guys have seen a lot of these market reports in the videos. This one is here for a specific reason, and it's to show the incredible rise and then the fall of the secondary market for these cards. A lot of people on Instagram, on social media, different places, are trying to make this seem like the set's a fail because this thing dropped from $2,500 to $1,000, which cannot be any more false, because if you bought this card to start at the beginning of May, you're paying around $400 some dollars, $350, $400, and now you still have the card that's worth $1,000. Or if you bought it before that, you paid $20 on Topps or anywhere up to $400, you're still making a ton of money. The only way that this set was a fail is if you overreacted and paid an insane amount for this card, like $2,500, and now it's worth, less than half. So to make a statement that this set, is a joke or anything is completely false. This set's still amazing. Many people have made money on this. Many people love collecting this. It's just that the market definitely pulled back in terms of insane growth. Like, look at that chart. I mean, that thing just spiked so hard that Memorial Day weekend, and then it started to fall, which makes sense. The demand just can't keep up for forever. And then also, the 99,000 print run Ken Griffey Jr. on Topps.com probably had a little bit to do with it. Some people lost interest because, the bubble popped. No one can make money on the ones releasing on Topps.com, so why do we even care about the set? So that probably had something to do with it. But either way, this card, is still worth a considerable amount of money. People made a considerable amount of money by selling it at the time, and they still could today if they wanted to. It's around $950 today, so it's still very high. Who knows what happens over the next couple weeks. But I do have a really good comment here from Chris at House of Jordans, who we interviewed a little over a month ago, 2 months ago, for the Michael Jordan week we did. He says, "This is one of the most interesting and polarizing topics in the hobby. Here's my take. Each of the 2,911 copies of the Ermsey Trout was originally purchased for $20 or less 2 months ago. They're now selling for roughly $1,000. I've studied the historical price trajectories on thousands of cards over the years. I can't think of another card that did 50 times in 2 months. Taking into consideration the two big investment variables, one, absolute dollar gain, $980, and two, time elapsed, which is around 2 months, the Ermsey Trout is currently the GOAT card from the ROI point of view. If it is surpassed, it is only by other Project 2020 cards like the Ball or Ichiro, and what makes it even more intriguing is outside of Christina PC, who is part of House of Jordan's, myself, SlabStox, and Sports Card Nation podcast, very few, if any, hobby content creators that I'm aware of were discussing Project 2020 at release, and if they did it, it was usually to criticize it. Project 2020 is an underdog story, a demonstration that fidelity to the collector point of view can prove incredibly profitable, and an inspiration to hobbyists to stay alert for the next hobby movement. And he got a ton of likes on that 22. So clearly, this was a great comment, very much so explaining what was going on with Project 2020, how not many people were talking about it, and if they were, there was a lot of criticism. So the ones that capitalized and bought those cards early definitely did well. And that's all I have to say for this Ermsey Trout. I talked about a lot about it before Chris's comment, so we'll move on to Thursday here, which is the LeBron Mosaic Prism Silver. This is the new product, the Panini Mosaic, I should say. It's the silver from the set. It's not the Mosaic type looking card. It's just a straight silver, but from Panini Mosaic. And when this released, the very first sale of this card was $214 on auction. Today, this card is selling for $341, around $350. Like a 60% increase in value from the start of the release of the product. I can't remember the last time that we had a product that over the next, week to 2 to 3 weeks maybe, that the values didn't drop. Normally, with Panini Prism this year, sure, the values are much higher than at release, but for the first 2 weeks after they were down a bit. This one just went up because, as we saw, only retail released at first, is pretty low supply. Then hobby released, and still pretty low supply since everyone bought and sold the retail to start. And now these silvers appear to be very rare from this release. As you can see on the screen, the sales volume is only 20 since the release on that's of auctions of this card. I'm pretty sure it's auctions only. But that's crazy to see this card go up in value. Not crazy in a bad way, because I posed the question, are Panini Mosaic Silvers the best silver/hollow investment out there? And we have a comment here from Wheels Up in 30 that says, no, they're not the best. Just another option out there. Prism, Optic, Select, Mosaic in that order. Gem Mint I says completely agree. Someone else agrees. And then someone else says, don't waste your money on Mosaic. Then for another perspective, we have Amendola Slab Investing that says, in my opinion, these Mosaic Silvers are the most aesthetically appealing silver parallels in 2019-20. Regardless of the other Mosaic parallels, I believe these will hold serious value moving forward. And then that Glenn Treasures 2020 replied, Mosaic Prism will always be the little brother to Panini Prism. He says, agreed, doesn't mean Mosaic Prism can't have their place in the market. That's what Amendola Slab Investing said. There's a lot of different things going on here. Some people thinking that this set's great. Some people thinking it's not. I think we have to understand that certain parallels from this set, certain inserts from this set will do very well. As a whole, this set, the retail parallels, all that other stuff is kind of forgettable. The reactive blues, the greens, all that other stuff, pretty forgettable. But as for this Panini Mosaic Silver, just the silver, it seems rare enough to the graded copies, and even the raw copies will sell very well. This sells more than the Prism Silver of LeBron. This sells more than the Optic Hollow because of the scarcity. And also, I agree, the photography and the design of the card is amazing. I think that these cards, the silvers alone, are great targets for investments. Some of the other Mosaic parallels, you could probably make money on grading and maybe buying if you buy a good player, or if more demand comes. But just to play it safe, I think that these are really nice cards to buy for sure. And then moving on to Friday, what we have here is the Jaren Jackson Jr. Select Courtside Base Rookie from 2018, and it's compared to the 2018 Prism Silver Rookie of Jaren Jackson Jr. This is a pretty interesting post. So what I did was I took the data from May till June, starting May 3rd, going to June 1st, and the different sales of the Select Base Courtside short print and then the Prism Silver. There were only 10 total sales of the Select Base Courtside Rookie in May, and then there was 52 sales of the Prism Silver in May. The Courtside went from around $25 up to $73, and the Silver went from around $55 up to $73, which is a 29% gain for the Prism Silver versus 192% gain for the Select Courtside Base Rookie. These Select Courtside Base Rookies are very rare. If you look at the population report for Luka Doncic versus Jaren Jackson Jr., back that up. If you look at the population report for Luka Doncic Courtside Base Short Prints versus the Prism Silvers of Luka Doncic, there's only 116 graded Select Courtside Rookies versus the 2,975 Prism Silvers graded. I used Luka because more people would be inclined to grade the Courtside of Luka versus the Courtside of Jaren Jackson, because it's only like a $10 to $25 card for a long time. So, but as you can see here, there's a very, very small amount of Select Base Rookies of Luka graded. These are the first cards that I would say are in, like Prism and Optic. Those are photo shoot cards. These have in-game action shots. Very cool cards here. I think that this is long overdue, this increase in value. If you were subscribed to the SlabStox newsletter, you can go to slabstox.com right now to go and sign up for the daily investment newsletters. We've sent out a ton of these courtsides, either silvers, coppers, tie-dyes, base, all of that stuff, because they have been undervalued for far too long. The Select Courtside Base of Jaren Jackson has finally gained a ton of value, as has the Luka, as has the Trey, and as has Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, plus a couple other guys here and there like LeBron and Giannis. It is pretty crazy to see the increase in this, though, because in the past, people, I'd send them out and, who knows who would buy them, not that many, but now the values are so high, everyone wants them. So definitely some cards to look out for. As for a comment we have from 412 Sports Cards, I still feel like Prism Silvers will rise faster if a player gets hot, but much like numbered Prism Parallels, I feel these courtsides are going to be much more resilient in the event of a downturn in the market, be it player-specific or league-wide like we saw in March. So, back when the NBA got suspended in March, we saw base PSA 10s from Prism of guys go down price very quickly. We saw silvers numbered, any other cards that were rare hold much better value. He's saying similar thing here with courtsides, that it could hold better value because of the scarcity, but it also might not rise in price as faster, which is true because those base PSA 10s and base PSA 9s rose in value so fast up to March 10th, while the silvers did not, but the silvers really held their value more as the market turned down. So a little, something for you to consider here is that while you might not make as much money faster, it might be better and safer there. I think you guys heard my thoughts on this, so not much else to say on the court sides. I really like them. I have for a long time. I've written articles on them in years past. Very great cards there. To end off the episode, like we always do, we will choose a question that we asked during the week to our Instagram audience. And this week's question is, what was the best deal you've ever gotten on a purchase, online, card show, or from a card shop, or anywhere else that you might have gotten them? Got one here from Sergio Mako, which said, bought a LeBron Topps Chrome Refractor Rookie BGS 9.5 for $800 in 2014. If you're wondering how much that card is worth today, one just sold for $20,000 on Buy It Now. So in the course of 6 years, that is an insane amount of money to gain. And then from CBUCOSSI, we have every dollar I spent on basketball in 2018. I thought that count was pretty funny because he is pretty right. If you spent money on Prism Optic or Selected in 2018, any of the good players, you are making a ton of money. And then from Deadly Viper 87, another perspective here is 2000 Dark Charizard Pokemon Holo PSA 10. I paid $10 at the flea market, sold on eBay for $13.50. 2 months later, it's now worth $3,000 plus. Still very happy. Those are some crazy deals there. As for myself, I can share a couple I've had over the years. I bought a 2018 Topps Heritage Christian Yelich throwback jersey from the short print. They're like only out 25 or 15. They're not numbered, but they're short prints. I bought it for $1.95 on eBay. The seller listed it just as a short print, not with throwback in the title. And I wasn't even sure if I was going to get the correct card, but I did. At the time, that was around $250. And that is in my Heritage Master Set for Christian Yelich. And then also just any of the soccer I've bought over the past 9 months. The Kylian Mbappe's for $2. The silvers for $10. Some crazy stuff there. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode of This Week in Sports Cards. This was Volume 6. My name is Aaron, your host, and I will see you guys next time.